Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, by, and about seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, we're talking this morning about our physical and mental health. And we'll be speaking with Dr. Thomas Palucki, chiropractor.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
sir. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's good to be here.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to be here too, although I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, but you've been traveling a little bit, which is good.
Yes.
And how was your trip?
The trip was delightful.
Oh, great.
Absolutely delightful.
Now, it wasn't you went to the San Fernando Valley and came back.
No.
No.
I went to Torino, Italy.
Torino, Italy.
Yes.
That's a little bit further than the San Fernando Valley.
That's approximately 16 hours away.
Now, what
Flight
what
time.
would bring you to a place that ends in an O, like Dorio? What
Isn't that interesting?
Torino?
Torino.
Now, of course, Dorio is Italian, but Torino, was that for the upcoming Olympics? Were you going there for that?
No.
No?
I belong to the Zonta Club of Santa Clarita Valley, and it's a women's service organization, and every 2 years we have a convention. And the convention for the past 2 years, a member of our club has been the international president, Diane
Thanks.
Curtis.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember, she was here on the show.
Yeah, she's has a business in
Yes, Curtis
Canyon
Sand
Country.
Granville, and she also has another business too. And she is the outgoing international president.
It's been 2 years already.
Yes, 2 years. And so this was her convention, and there was no way that we would miss her convention.
Oh, wow.
And this trip has been planned since February. And
So how many of you went?
there were 9 of us from our
9?
club.
And you were there for how long?
We were there I left here on the 5th of July and came back on the 14th.
Wow. Good for you, Barbara.
Yes.
So how did they treat you? You know, we had a heat wave here during that time. We had
There
the
was-
4th of
yes.
July and then the heat wave during the time.
Well, we had hot weather, but it was in the 90s, but it was extremely humid. Extremely humid.
Sounds like Midwest or East Coast.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly.
But you grew up in
No,
Asheville,
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina,
And
but that's
South
pretty
Carolina.
and that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's very humid.
How did it compare?
It's the same.
Same?
Exactly
okay,
the
yeah.
same.
So you could have gone to South Carolina instead.
Oh, yes.
Same weather.
But it's more exciting to go to Torino, Italy, wouldn't you
Absolutely.
say?
I would say. Right.
But we had a wonderful time.
Oh, that's great.
We really did.
So, and Diane was the outgoing international.
And she was busy all the time, but she put on a fantastic convention. And she brought Zonta International up several notches as far as communications and that kind of thing,
Wow.
so that every Zontan in the world knew what was going on.
So, were you elected the new international president of Zonta, or?
Was I?
Was you?
No,
Because I can see that
no,
upcoming in the future.
No.
No?
No.
You don't want to go back to Torino?
No,
Do they
won't-
always
we
have
won't
their
go. No.
conventions
The next
there?
one is in Orlando, Florida, in 2 years.
Oh, Disney World.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
You
I'm
going to go to
gonna
that?
You're darn right I am.
All right.
Whenever I can travel, I will travel.
Yay.
And
Well
the
done.
good Lord willing, I will be there.
You will be there. I know
Yes,
you
I
will,
will.
Barbara. Good
Yes.
for you. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
congratulations to Diane Curtis, a member of our community who's out there, literally out there.
Absolutely. She is. She's out there all over the place.
Yeah.
Delightful lady. Very, very talented.
Yeah. Well, you guys are a super organization in terms of giving to our community here, and you've been played a valuable role in doing that, Barbara. So,
Well,
you know, we not only value Diane, but we value you for all the things you have done here as well.
And you know what, Jean? It's amazing when something happens to you in your life, and this is the second time that it's happened to me. They give back. It's been amazing how caring and loving they have been to me. And I'm going to cry if I don't stop. So,
So we can take a break.
yes, let's
We're
do
not
that.
going to San Fernando Valley. We're going to stay right here.
Yes. So we'll take a break now and be back in a few minutes. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Don't say that. Left-handed people, a little bit more creative. I'm going to say nothing.
Left-handed people are smart.
They are.
Yeah, Mom. I have a... We have these. We really have... I have a... Dad, do you want to get the phone?
No.
Every year, 1 million families face losing their homes to foreclosure. If you're ignoring your mortgage issues, things will only get worse. Call 1-888-995-HOPE, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Hey, Mike, give me another one.
The cost of one more drink, $4.50. The cost of a DUI, severe fines and loss of freedom, causing innocent loss of life, unimaginable. The value of acting responsibly,
On second thought, why don't you call me a cab?
priceless. Drinking and driving are not worth the cost. Call a friend or taxi to get home safely.
When someone abducts a child, they're not about to advertise it. But we will. Sign up at wirelessamberalerts.org to get free Amber Alert text messages on your cell phone. Wireless Amber Alerts. A child is calling for help.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Jean Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. We're talking with Thomas Palucki, who is a chiropractor here, but you've been on our show before, Thomas, and we've talked about different issues, and it really goes around chiropractic. It more centers about alternative medicine and how medicine is practiced. And, I'm a believer, we know a lot about how the body works, but we don't yet really understand everything. When we think we're in Star Trek 6, that's we out there. Yeah. When we can put a guiding value over us and say, this instrument's going to tell us if we're dead or alive, and and bring us back to life, we don't have that. Right. I think, and society sees Star Trek and they feel we can cure everything, and we really don't. We don't have all the answers, and that's a part of the medicine that you practice.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, and I hope that's not perceived as a bad thing, because you're a medical doctor and you're saying right now we don't have all the answers. My whole perspective on this is we need to start changing the questions. Mm-hmm. Not how do we treat this end-stage disease process, not how do we manage terminal illnesses, which is kind of the focus of it. Wait until, it's not a problem until it's a life or death situation for most people. It's not a great strategy. Just for, to make this concrete, my background, I grew up in a medical family. I'd been surrounded by it my whole life. By the time I was 16, I was testing for Johns Hopkins. I was doing the standardized testing process to take advanced placement to Johns Hopkins. At that time, I had already had 2 orthopedic surgeries. I had an abdominal surgery. I was scheduled to have my tonsils removed. I was on 5 prescription medications.
Good glory. By the time you were 16?
By the time I was 16. And this was my way of life for pretty much the first 16 years of my life. So I kind of have an aptitude and an empathy for people who are stuck in this process. I mean, I grew up hearing all the stories of when, your parents come home and they just had people die on them and that kind of things. It's emotional. Mm-hmm. It happens way too often. So anyway, 16, I'm testing for Johns Hopkins. I wake up one morning and I can't turn my neck. I can't turn my head. Mm. And this was the one thing that my very conservative, traditional medical family thought, well, maybe chiropractic might be okay for this. So I go. And that doctor was nice enough. I didn't really understand. I didn't really think he was a real doctor. Most, drugs and surgery are the way you deal with health in my family. Mm-hmm. And so I go, and within a couple of visits, I can turn my head again. And the guy was nice enough, because at that point I was kind of like, well, I guess it worked. I'm done. But he actually sat me down and talked to me. And this is something that I hadn't experienced.
A lot of doctors don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, even the doctors who were doing surgery on me never talked to me. Maybe they talked to my parents for 3 to 5 minutes at the most, but they never talked to me. This guy actually sat me down and had like a half-hour conversation with me.
Wow.
And was digging into things that I thought, well, why are you asking me this? You're a chiropractor, right? I mean, you help my neck, but why are you talking to me about my digestive problems and my chronic infections and my headaches and all of these things? He said that it's all connected. And that's the reason why it hasn't gotten better yet, because every doctor that I've seen is just focusing on their thing. Their thing, dealing with this symptom or that symptom, and that really, in order to get healthier, you've got to look at what is function and what is malfunction and approach it from that way. What is really not working as good as it should be, and instead of just throwing a solution at the end, the warning sign, the catastrophe of that process, trying to track it back and get all the things working as smoothly together as possible. And I got to say, at the beginning, I didn't get it, because no doctor talks to you in those terms. But he was nice enough, and this was back in the very early 80s, when all you had to do was show up. There was none of the complications with healthcare that there is today. So within 4 months, I was off all medications that I had to rely on a daily basis just to function. So I get it. When people come into me and they say, well, I'm on 5 meds, I've had 5 surgeries, I'm like, oh, well, I know exactly what you're dealing with.
You've been there.
I've been there.
You've been there.
And how does it sound if maybe there's a possibility that it doesn't have to be like that?
So when we come back, let's talk about the why.
Yeah.
Why is this happening in this country? Because I know a lot of our listeners are saying, hey, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
My doctor never sits down with me. My surgeon took me in and he said hello, and next thing I knew, I had a scar on my leg.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about the structure of our medical system and why this is happening to all of us, and what we can do maybe to resolve the problem. So we're going to take a break. We're talking to Thomas Palucki. I'm Dr. Gene Dorrio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS.
How do you convince a 14-year-old girl that hair doesn't matter? When the diagnosis is childhood cancer, where can parents turn? CureSearch.org can help. It's run by doctors and scientists whose research has led to an overall cure rate of 78%. You're not as alone as you feel.
You're so lost. No, I am not, man. Dude, I dropped my phone. Oh, the road! Whoa! Okay.
How would you like to save your life from an ugly, reckless driving death? Don't answer yet. There's more. Act now by slowing down, and we'll guarantee you complete satisfaction.
That's awesome!
In the real world, there is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up.
Whoa, Andy, slow down.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorrio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. We're talking with Thomas Palucki about problems with medicine and problems with the system that we just continually have in all our patients, and we as doctors see it as well, that this lack of communication, this time that's spent with your physician is almost not worthy because they don't listen, they don't have time to listen. Why do you think that's going on?
I think the emphasis has been on time management more than really getting to the root of the issue. There was an article published, nearly 40 years ago in JAMA about how to terminate the visit with the prescription. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of conversation. It's what the people are looking for, and ever since that, for the past 40 years, the whole machinery has been to emphasize that that is the expected outcome of every interaction. It is, Doc, I got this, no problem, here, take this, have this filled on your way out, or, take this to your pharmacy, and that's kind of what people expect. And so it satisfies everybody. It satisfies the doctor. They can see a lot more people with that format. They can, I hope that they're thinking I can help a lot more people by being more time effective by doing it this way. It satisfies the patient because they've been conditioned to believe that that's what I'm going there for. I'm going there, I'm going to see the doctor, I'm going to tell him what's wrong, he's going to have the solution, it's going to come on this little piece of paper, I'm going to take it down to the pharmacy, and all my problems are going to be taken care of by doing this.
But it doesn't. And we know it just doesn't. It's happening, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
People, I think the second medication to lose weight came on the market, was just FDA approved yesterday. And people just say, well, I'm not going to exercise, I'm not going to eat right, but give me that pill because then I can lose weight. And it's the easy way out, and that's what we've expected.
We've been conditioned to believe that to be true.
I think that definitely is part of the ongoing problem that we have been propagandized by the pharmaceutical companies, by the insurance companies, by everybody to say, hey, this works and do it this way. And I think this conditioning has gone through our system to the patients, to the doctors, everybody else, to where ultimately the problems aren't solved. Ultimately, that main underlying issue that you were talking about, you go to the root of the problem, and once you do that when you're 16 years old, then you realize, gee, all I had to do was this, this, and this, and I'm done with the operations, the medications, and everything else.
Exactly. So it literally transformed my life experience. I mean, within 4 months, this doctor, I wasn't even sure that he was a doctor.
Most people back, in fact, still a lot of people don't consider a chiropractor a doctor.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it every day. I have a lot of training. Side by side, the medical and the chiropractic program, there's actually more classroom hours in the chiropractic program. And then when you get out, most medical doctors go through a residency, and then if they choose to, they go into their field of specialty, and then they have specific training on that one area. In chiropractic, we don't have that luxury. We really have to get all of our education on our own. It is, there is a push towards the university system being incorporated into a university system. But when I went through, there was no university system. It's private school. So first of all, it's ridiculously expensive. As expensive as any medical school, and it is grueling. It is as demanding a program as any medical school out there. Then when you get through, you think, okay, I'm a doctor now, I'm going to go hang up my shingle, and the masses are just going to flock to me because this is real health care, and people really want to get healthy, and they understand the difference between treating a symptom and actually getting better, and it just doesn't happen. So you have to learn how to talk to people.
Interesting.
You have to learn how to educate. And you're almost put in this pigeonhole of being counterculture because you're not giving the same message that all those commercials, all those TV ads, all those magazine ads, every form of media is saying that, no, health problems are taken care of with medication, and God forbid our drug doesn't work for you, then you have to talk to a surgeon. But pretty much everything else is should be held with high skepticism about anything.
Let me ask you something, Dr. Palucki. With you being in a medical family,
Yeah.
how did your family feel about your going into the chiropractic field?
Yeah, they were real disappointed about me not accepting Johns Hopkins. I'll tell you that. That was a rough conversation. But ultimately, they were supportive. They realized that what happened to me was transformational, that they saw it firsthand. They experienced it firsthand. I mean, they'd been there for that first 16 years as well.
That's right.
Unfortunately, my father and my uncle didn't adopt my proactive health approach, and they're both gone now, way too early for both of them. So my past, it's been 21 years now that I've been doing this, has really been more than anything about becoming as effective a communicator as possible, because I am going against the stream on this.
Yes, you are.
When we come back, let's talk about, though, that what our listeners are concerned about, that's the time they spend with the doctor. And right now, we're not going to be able to educate the doctors in terms of them spending more time with the patients. We need to, well, let's communicate with our listeners how, as doctors, we can get them to get the most out of their visits to the doctor and get the information they need to move forward in life and get their problems taken care of. So we'll come back maybe with that topic on the Senior Hour on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
I think it breaks a little to the left.
To the right.
Nope, straight.
I told you it was going right.
Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day.
For fun playtime ideas, go online. Just don't stay long.
If you're a California homeowner struggling to make your mortgage payments,
and you don't think there's anyone who could help,
you should know there's a federally funded program that may be able to help you.
Keep Your Home California can help you hold on to your home and avoid foreclosure.
even if you're collecting unemployment, even if you owe more than your home is worth.
Call Keep Your Home California today, 888-954-KEEP, or visit keepyourhomecalifornia.org.
The youth project helped me by giving me a second chance and getting my stuff together, getting everything straight. My plans for the future is to go to law school and become a lawyer. I just want to thank the SCV Youth Project for all their help.
I knew she needed help, I just didn't know what to do. So I called the Youth Project, and they provided free counseling for both of us. Sometimes she doesn't want to talk to me, so I'm grateful she has another place to turn to that we both trust.
Well, the Santa Clarita Youth Project has helped me in many ways. Emotional support with my family and free counseling and great advice, and they're always there to help you, and they're real upfront and honest with you. And they're good people, and it's nice to have good people who care about you.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Thomas Palucki about patient care. And as doctors, we know there are ongoing problems related to our patients getting good medical care. And a lot of that stems from not being able to spend the time and communicate with their doctors. They go in, and 5 or 6 minutes later, you're out the door. And that's really a hard concept to understand on my part, because I have a rule that every time I see a patient, 20 questions have to be asked right off the bat. And if one is a positive response, I have to ask questions about that too. There's no way in 6 minutes you can ask 20 questions. I mean, rapid fire, you cannot. And by not being able to delve in to what's going on with the patient, you never get the answer. You never find the solution. What are the things that we can allow our listeners to learn about seeing their doctor and requiring a good visit?
So you want me to solve the healthcare problem in 30 seconds or less?
Well, we talked about, doctors just writing a prescription for a drug. And I see doctors walking in and 3 questions later, they're ordering that CAT scan.
Yeah.
It's really short and brief. And, I honestly think our patients should be sitting there with their notes and their questions. And, of course, if you bring in your own 20 questions, the doctor's not going to have time for that. You have to give your top 2 or 3 and try to get some answers evolving around that to get a solution. So when you walk out, you might have a prescription, but you might also have, a solution to the problem. Because, Barb, you have just some great doctors that communicate with you.
They're wonderful. They're wonderful.
Or maybe not even solutions, but options. Options outside of, okay, well, this is category A, we're going to order these tests. This is category B, we're going to prescribe these medications. But what about category C? Like, what are you doing in your exercise and your nutrition and your strategies for rest, repair, and recuperation? What are you doing on a physical level? What are you doing on a mental level? What are you doing on a spiritual level? What are your strategies? That's what I think should be reviewed. That's what I think should be promoted as far as what is your health strategy? Because I got to tell you, most people's health strategy is unless something is stopping me from earning a living or doing something that I love, everything's cool. Everything's fine unless something is really getting in my way. And by that time, it's going to take more. It's going to be more costly. It's going to be less effective. It's going to take more intervention to try to deal with that. And unfortunately, that is the strategy in our mainstream medicine. It's not a problem until it's really a problem. And once it's really a problem, well, we've got category A, category B to deal with. And if you get a really progressive doctor, they'll say, okay, what lifestyle factors can we look at here? And that's really asking a lot, that they're even going to talk about lifestyle factors. But if it starts with lifestyle factors, I mean, it's something that you learn in the elementary school system, because guess what? That happens in other countries. That happens throughout Europe and Asia. They get information on things that we don't have the time, supposedly, or the resources or the funding to deal with in this country, and that's a little disturbing. But our statistics show it. World Health Organization statistics show we're not doing so good statistically across the board in different areas. I look at 5 different factors: infant mortality, longevity, morbidity, these things, and yeah, in some areas we're 37, some areas we're 48th. I mean, it's just to think that there are third world countries that have better healthcare statistics than we do, and I still believe we have the greatest country. We have the greatest resources. We're just maybe not having the best strategy.
We are 37th overall, and Cuba is 39th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that says there's a problem already, but the reality is that even though the statistic is out there and has been put out there for the last decade, because they do it every decade, nobody sees that. Nobody does anything about it. Going back to, though, patients and especially our senior patients who are listening, they get symptoms, and when I talked about a list, it was a list of symptoms, and sometimes symptoms mean something because this is what the body is trying to say, and as doctors, what we try to do is decipher what the meaning of those symptoms. So we get symptom focused, and we try to see what that symptom is and say at the end of this conversation, that's hopefully not just 6 minutes, but at the end of the conversation that the symptom is caused by this, you can do this and tweak it a little bit and boom, it'll go away. Or that we have a plan, just like you said, Thomas, you got a plan and you figure out what the options are of the plan and then you move forward. But of course that takes time, and you know, when there are some of these systems out there are allotting 10 minutes or even 15 minutes, that's truly not enough to be able to, for a physician, to be able to determine, is there some overall problem that's going on. Your doctor, when you were 16 years old, sits down with you for a half an hour or an hour and can decipher some of this information. You can't do it in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. There's just no way.
There is no way. And the nice thing about chiropractic that is different than traditional medicine is that we tend to see people more frequently. It's not once a year for a checkup. I have many people who are coming in once a week for a checkup and getting a tune-up and actually getting something done and talking about these lifestyle things and me showing them exercises and bouncing nutritional things off of them and getting that feedback where there's a lot more interaction. Even if I don't take half an hour to sit down with an individual, I have, over the course of a month, maybe an hour of contact time with that individual.
Which makes a big difference. And what I'd like to talk about when we come back from the break is how your type of treatment is slightly different or adds another component to chiropractic.
Sure.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Fruit. What a tasty treat. Fruits packed with potassium and other nutrients can help keep your heart pumping strong during the game. And they give you energy back so you can take on the next activity. Can your food do that? Run, throw, think, eat better. Find out more at smallstep.gov.
They come back to parades, high school bands, and celebrations. We welcome them with open arms as heroes. Their tours of duty are behind them. Their challenges are not. Many will spend longer coming back from the war than they spent in the war, retraining, searching for jobs, recovering from scars, some visible, some not. Find out what you can do to help at welcomebackveterans.org.
Hi, I'm Paul Cass, and I am the advisor to a wonderful group at Placerita Junior High School known as KidFlix Video Production. And you're watching SCV TV, local television for Santa Clarita.
Welcome back to Senior Health. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Palucki. And before the break, we were talking about your being a different type of chiropractor. In other words, you don't just simply adjust the spine and adjust the bones and that kind of thing. You have added another dimension to your practice.
Yeah, well,
talk about that a little bit more, because it's nutrition.
Yep.
It's, well, some of the, you're a certified metabolic typing advisor.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay. It's all a functional approach. Every different area that I've specialized in, it comes from the basis of getting to the functional issue, not just treating the symptom. And that's where alternative medicine sometimes gets in trouble with having to talk in the terms of the media and the public perception, which is healthcare equals disease management. So instead of fighting that, a lot of alternative practitioners get sucked into, well, we can do this with nutrition, and then they get in trouble. Like, we can cure cancer with nutrition, and then they really get in trouble because that just isn't what we're doing. Now, I can tell you that I have quite a few cancer patients, that I work with cancer patients to help them try to get as healthy as possible. But I never say, even with things that are straight up, like what is acceptable within my scope of practice in chiropractic, oh yes, you can say that you treat back pain. You can say that you treat disc problems. You're not going to get brought up in front of the state boards for practicing medicine without a license if you make these claims in your advertisement. I don't even do that, because it can be misleading. It's not. What we do is we try to restore normal function. In the case of, let's say, something like a disc problem, which, you know, chiropractors, some get better results than others with that. And if it is a disc problem, you know, why is there a disc problem? Was it a direct trauma? Was it that the mechanics, the posture, the habits of the individual, the actual something totally unrelated? It could be functional as far as the way they exercise or the way they sit or things like that. Getting to the real root of it and trying to address those functional problems is where you can actually make these transformational changes for people. Not just, oh, you have this pain going down your leg, okay, well, that is this label of sciatica. And sciatica is going to mean that one of 3 nerve roots coming out of the lower part of your back is being crimped on. And we're going to get an MRI and show that nerve being crimped on, and then we're either going to try to decompress it through conservative methods, or if it's bad enough, we're going to go in and surgically remove that pinch on that nerve. Well, it doesn't always work like that. And in fact, it doesn't work so much so that there's actually a diagnosis code of failed back surgery for these things.
Failed back surgery.
Yeah, that's an actual diagnosis.
Wow.
Failed back surgery. It's so prevalent that they've actually written a diagnosis code for it. And I see a lot of these people who are on their 3rd back surgeries and just finally are tired with it and want an alternative. And sometimes I can help. And fortunately for me, more often than not, a lot of people see a result between the time they're scheduled for their consultation for that surgery and the time that they actually have. And we've kept a lot of people off of the operating tables.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So that involves a different method that
Yeah.
you have incorporated into your practice.
Yeah.
That does not go against medical practice.
No. You know, someone asked me the other day, a doctor friend of mine, he was like, so, you know, I'm starting to win him over. So let me make sure that I understand this. If you had your way, would you eliminate the medical doctor? I was like, no, that's crazy. I can't speak. He asked me to represent the chiropractic profession. He said, so is it the chiropractic profession's agenda to eliminate medicine? I was like, no.
Oh, what a question.
I was like, yeah, I'm not even sure how to answer that, but my agenda is something completely different than the medical doctors. We occasionally get in trouble because we talk the same just because it's what the public expects in healthcare. But the reality is most medical doctors are treating disease processes. That's what they're trained in, or at least that's my understanding of it. And the type of work that I do is trying to get the person as healthy as possible. Now, it seems like that's just semantics, but it's really not. One is focused on moving towards health, and one is focused on moving away from disease. And there's really no conflict. There's really no conflict at all. In fact, I would love a better integration where if someone's health strategies have gotten them to the point where they are in a life or death crisis or a disease process, and it can be effectively managed medically, that there should be a smooth transition towards, okay, we've got this under control. Now let's see about actually getting you healthier.
That's interesting. When we come back, since we need to take another break, let's continue this because that's a very interesting concept. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
I teach auto racing, and I like to work on my own cars. Naturally, I like to change my own oil. Unfortunately, many do-it-yourselfers don't always go by the rules.
The good news is, there's a drop-off center near you that will gladly accept your used oil, free of charge, and it only takes a few minutes.
So please, recycle your used oil.
Brought to you by Cal Recycle and the City of Santa Clarita.
Hi, I'm Athena Merengi from Academy of the Canyons.
And I'm Robert Rye from Golden Valley High School.
I'm Sam Ria from Hart High School, and you're watching SCV TV, local television for Santa Clarita.
Good morning and welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest this morning has been Dr. Thomas Palucki, who is a chiropractor. And I wouldn't say you were unorthodox.
Is there such a thing as an orthodox chiropractor?
Well, that's something for you to research, isn't it?
I think it's pretty counterculture to begin with. Where it goes from there, I don't know. I would like to say, I would like to think that I'm just a good doctor. You know, I try to figure out what the patient really needs. And if it can be done through natural means, because my license is such that I'm not going to go to, well, just take this drug for this problem. I'm not going to go to, well, we'll just cut that organ out because it's giving you some trouble. In many ways, my job is a little more difficult in trying to figure out what can we do to bring you to health.
It's more in depth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, when you stop and think about it.
So I have no problem with any medical doctor or any medical approach. It's just that there's confusion in public perception about what healthcare really is. And unfortunately, predominantly in this country, that is really, the emphasis is out of the doctor's hands. The emphasis is being pushed by an agenda, by a profit center that unfortunately healthcare doesn't really have a handle on, and it doesn't matter whether the taxpayers are paying for it in this Obamacare, whatever that turns out to be, or in the private fee system. The real issue in healthcare, if you want healthcare reform, it's got to be, how do we handle health, not who pays for it.
Well, then the model here, us being 37th and Cuba being 39th, like we said, the model in this country is not working.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, and it needs to be changed with affordable health care that we're developing and evolving. Even this method is not a model that is seen anywhere in the world.
Right.
The rest of the world has models
that work.
And that give health care to their people.
Well, then why don't we follow some of those models?
Because we're a capitalistic country that believes in profit. And when you put healthcare in the forefront, where it has been very profitable, you get a gross national product, which is where we're paying of what we, that about 17% of what we pay in this country is to healthcare. Every country in the world pays less than 10%, whereas we pay 17%. And most of that goes to profit for the system to churn through it. We don't have a good model here. It's not working. The statistics are out there. We're 37th, and there are thousands of other statistics, but we want to keep this model because we're capitalists. That's what we are. Do we need a blending of socialized medicine in this country? I firmly believe we have to find that way. The Affordable Health Care Act doesn't do it. It might be a step in the direction they want. I don't know. But all I can say is, my personal opinion, this model doesn't work here. And people are suffering because of it. They're losing their homes because of it. They can't afford health care. They're dying from this. And we need to make a change. But we're not willing to do that.
Right.
And that I don't think is going to change for a while. And that's the unfortunate side of why, as we started in the very beginning, you're getting 6 minutes to see your doctor. That's why. Because that's all they have time for now, to give you that time, because they're rushing around. Their fees are cut back. Hospital fees are cut back. Everybody's scrambling. But there's a profit that is being made, and it's going into the pockets of people who are running the system. They're the middlemen of industry, and they're taking the money into their own pocketbooks and their offshore accounts and their retirements, and we're suffering for that. And, you know, this isn't supposed to be a criticism of the system, but there should be a lot of criticism of what's going on right now, because the people are hurting, the people are suffering, and I do think that the people in Washington, D.C. are not listening. They're not.
Well, they're bought and paid for.
Well, and they are. And it's an interesting, it's, you know, come full tilt all the way around the corner in terms of what we can do. I don't know if we have solutions. We know there are problems. We kind of define those, but, you know, Thomas Pilecki, you know, a different kind of person, a different kind of doctor, but trying to blend together, you know, all aspects of medicine to help our patients. You're doing a great job in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Most directly, the phone number at the office, 753-9340. And if you're not ready, you need more information, my website is now operational. Real easy to remember, mykindofdoctor.info.
There you go. That's great.
That's interesting.
My kind of doctor. You're my kind of doctor.
Yeah. .info.
Need more of you. Thomas Pilecki, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank
we
you,
really
Gene.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Go and enhance your quality of life.